Today we'll be working on lesson 3.1, measuring relative mass. So the first thing I need to do is to measure the mass of my empty cup. Granted, they're individually a little bit different, but in general, they're only a tenth apart. So I'm just going to use a standard cup and see where it lands. So, come up a little bit. All right, so you need to record the mass here, okay? So go ahead and record that mass. Right. Then, so that mass goes in each of these boxes for empty cup or beaker, okay? And then mass of 100 beads. So I'm going to start with my small group. Okay. Come over a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to say that is about right. Make sure that you have your known number plus your estimate. So your format should be to the hundredth spot. So, right, your estimates should be about to the 100th spot. Okay, so that's your small beads. So I'm going to say that's 6.20. And then I need the mass of my large beads, which I can already feel is a lot more than this. So, what?
Sorry.
You're fine. What is that? Okay, we need a different sample then. So, I don't know. All right. So this is the mass of the large beads. It's close. Let's see here. Put it here. Okay, I'm going to say I'm pretty satisfied with that at about 30.80. Okay. All right, and then we have to do some math. Okay. So, looking at directions, okay. I need to erase some things, but I'm going to bring it back over to the document side. So, bring this back over this way. Okay. So, the mass you have recorded are absolute masses. An important chemistry concept is relative mass. Relative mass simply tells us how many times one object weighs in terms of another object that is used as a benchmark. For example, if the mass of a yellow bead is 12 grams, the mass of a red bead is 36 grams, then the relative mass of the red bead is 3, and the relative mass of the yellow bead is 1. Because the mass of the red bead is the benchmark is 3 times that of the yellow bead. In this case, the mass of the yellow bead is used as a benchmark for the masses of both beads. The easiest way to determine the relative mass of 2 or more objects is to divide the mass of each object by the mass of the lightest. For example, 12 grams divided by 12 grams is 1.0. 36 grams divided by 12 grams is 3.0. Note that relative mass is a unitless quantity. So now determine the mass of each type of bead, small and large, and record them in the data table. So what you're doing is taking your, we haven't figured out the mass of our beads yet. So to be able to do that, it's the same thing we've been doing, right? We're subtracting masses here. So it's going to be 6.2 minus 3.60. Into a 5. So it's going to be 2.60. Going to do the same thing here for the large beads. So it's going to come out to 27.2 grams. So then to be able to figure out the mass of one bead, right, you have to divide. Okay, so it's 2.6 divided by 100 beads is going to be, let me get my calculator, 2.6 divided by 100. It's going to come out to 0.026 grams versus 27.2 divided by 100 grams is 0.272 grams. Okay, so now what we're doing here is exactly how it says here. Okay, we're going to divide the each mass by the mass of the smallest, because the small beads are here. It's going to be 0.026 grams divided by 0.026 grams. That's going to be equal to 1. And then it's going to be 0.272 grams divided by 0.026 grams. It's going to be equal to 10.46. Okay, all right. So then we need to read instructions again. Okay. Return to the balance. Starting with the small beads, place beads on the balance until the mass of the balance reads 1 gram. What we're actually going to do is that we know the mass of the cup, so we're just going to add beads until it equals 1 gram above. Okay, which is the relative mass of the small bead. Note, it is likely that you will not reach exactly 1 gram with whole numbers of beads, and that adding a bead to the balance will increase the value from just under 1 to just over 1 gram. If this is the case, simply report the range of beads needed to reach 1 gram. Record this value or range in the last row on the data table. Okay, so again, I'm going to see if the mass of my cup is approximately 3.5, because that's what it's been. That's what we're going to hope it to be here. Okay. Hold on just a second while I readjust here. 3.6, sorry. Okay. 3.6 is about right. Let me focus this again so you can see it better. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 4.6 because that would be 1 gram over. And I'm going to add beads until we reach that amount. It's going to be quite a few of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Let's say it's about 37, 38. Let's say 38. That number is still not coming out to something that I want, but that's okay. We're going to say 38. So there are 38 beads in the relative mass. So now we are discussing the number of large beads that must be placed on the balance to equal the relative mass of the large beads that you calculated in step 7. Circle the claim below that you believe will happen and justify your choice. So what it's saying is, we said that the relative mass is going to be 10.46. How many beads do you think it's going to take to get to 10.46? Okay, so here are the claims. Okay, the number of large beads that's needed to be placed on the balance to equal the relative mass will determine step 7 will be lower than the number needed for the small beads. The number of large beads that's needed to be placed on the balance to equal the relative mass will, the relative mass we determined in step 7 will be greater than the number needed for the small beads. The number of large beads that's needed to be placed on the balance to equal the relative mass will be determined in step 7 will be the same as the number needed for small beads. Okay, so you need to pick one of these, okay, and then write a full sentence justifying which claim you think is correct. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the small beads. So again, here, I know that my cup is 3.6 grams. So I know that I need my mass to come out to 14.06. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to 14. Well, I can't do 14.06, so I'm just going to do 14.1. 14.1. Okay. And then I'm going to count the amount of beads that it takes to achieve that mass. Okay. Focus again. That's not my focus button. This is my focus button. Oh, I guess I have 2 focus buttons. Never mind. Okay. So what we're trying to figure out is if it's going to take 38 beads more or less, or more or less. Okay? So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, let's see, 39. Let's see what it does. All right, so 38 was a little bit low, 39 was a little high. So we're going to say 38 to 39. Okay. So that worked out better than it did in my trial run. Okay. So based on your data, what is the actual relationship between the number of small beads in 1 gram of small beads and the number of large beads in the relative mass, meaning 10.46 of large beads, right? So compare these two numbers, okay? Compare those two numbers. And explain in full sentences. Okay. Okay. If we define a group as a number of beads of 1 gram of small beads, how many small beads are there in a group? So that would be there are 38 beads per group. Okay. If we defined a group as a number of beads in 1 gram, how many beads are in a group? And we're going to say 38. Okay. A student has 25 groups of large beads, and we've already determined a group is 38. Yeah. How many actual beads does the student have? So, this is one of those dimensional analysis. Let's just do dimensional analysis. If I say 25 groups, right? Dimensional analysis says groups goes on the bottom. One group has 38, was it? 38 beads, right? This is like saying there are 12 eggs in a dozen, right? And then you multiply that out. See here, 25 times 38. It's going to be 950 beads. Okay? A student has 1,500 small beads, so 1,500 beads. How many groups of small beads does the student have? Again, if beads is on top, beads needs to be on the bottom. Groups goes on the top, and it's not 38 groups per bead, it's one group per 38 beads. So I'm going to divide this time, right, because top divided by bottom. 1,500 divided by 38 is going to come out to 39.47. Okay? Calculate the mass in grams of 5.3 groups. I think you can do that on your own. Your teacher has a sealed container that contains large beads. You cannot look into the container, but you may measure its mass on the balance. Note that the mass of the empty container is written on the side. Determine the number of groups of the large beads and the total number of large beads in the container. All right, I didn't do this. So what we're going to do instead is we already know the mass of the cup is 3.6. So I'm just going to take a handful of beads. Okay. I'm going to take a handful of beads. Whoops. And not drop them all like I am. This is what happens with beads. It's fine. Totally fine. I'll just clean it up later. All right. So. I'm going to put more beads in. I want lots of beads. I'm going to make this cup as full as possible. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so again, my starting mass was 3.6 because it always is. I'm going to start taking the mass of my beads here. At 60, it floats a little bit. This might be one of those situations where it works out perfectly. Oh, look at that. It does. How convenient. Let me show you as proof. Right. Yeah, that's 60 grams. That's convenient for us. Okay. So under here, 60 grams. Actually, it should be 60.00 because I know the 0 and the 0.0 after that for sure. So this is my estimate. So 60.00 minus 3.60. This is going to be here. 56.40. Let me double check my answer because sometimes I'm not the best at math. Very good. 56.40 grams is in my cup right now. Okay. So note that the mass of the empty determine the number of groups in the large beads and the total number of large beads in the container. Okay. So I know I've got 56.40 grams is my given. Okay. I know that according to so because grams is here, grams is going to come here, and groups is going to come here. I know that in one group, which is 38 beads, my mass is 10.46. I'll write 10.46 here. Okay, so I'm going to divide that out. 56.4 divided by 10.46. Now I'm going to say I have about 5.39 groups. And then the total number of large beads in a container. So if I have 5.39 groups, and I know that each group contains 38 beads, I'm going to go ahead and do that out. So multiply that by 38. I'm going to say I have 204 beads. Say 205 beads because it's 204.8, and I'm going to round up because maybe some of the beads weigh less than the other ones. So I'm going to say 205 beads. Okay. A third bead exists called the extra large bead. An extra large bead has the relative mass that is 4 times that of a large bead. How many extra large beads would be in a group of extra large beads? Okay. Well, a group is defined as 38 beads, so it's still going to be 38 beads. What is the mass of a group of large beads? So, if I have 38 beads, and I know that this is 4 times the amount of the relative mass of that of the large bead, which is 10.46. All I have to do is multiply that out. It's going to come out to 1589.92 grams. All right, so that is part 1. We will do part 2 in a different video.